We are here with Dave Hammers from the First Bank of Baldwin, right here in Balsam Lake. He has been doing mortgages for over 40 years, helping buyers purchase their homes. We'll just dive right in. Hey, Dave, what are the different types of home loans?
Well, there are a number of different types. Your conventional loan is basically your standard 30-year, 15-year fixed rate mortgage. Then there are specialty products like USDA, or which are also known as rural development loans for people that are looking to purchase homes in more rural areas as compared to the Twin Cities or Eau Claire, things like this. VA loans, which are really targeted toward the veterans. FHA loans, which also are really designed for many first-time home buyers. Excellent programs to get in with smaller down payments. And then we offer a number of in-house loan products for the customers that don't quite fit the mold of the secondary market type customer. The secondary market is very rigid, very strict on the type of customers that they will accept. It's the same guidelines that are used for every single bank. Our in-house products, we set the guidelines for those loans, and that gives us much more flexibility in working with the more unique customers.
Sure. Could you go over, like, somebody buying land? What kind of loan would they need for that?
Well, land loans don't qualify for long-term fixed rate financing. There is no source for that. So that would have to be some sort of an in-house loan product. So with a land purchase or land refinance, several factors have to be taken into account. Is it a lot loan where maybe they are buying a lot to put a house on? That is treated differently versus, let's say, somebody's buying 100 acres to use for hunting land, things like this. So let's talk about the hunting land example.
Sure.
That type of customer would be put on, say, maybe an amortization period where the loan might take 10 or 15 years to pay off, and then we would give them a fixed rate term loan where maybe the rate would be fixed for 3 to 5 years of that period of time. And then they could look at refinancing at that point in time based on what interest rates are.
Sure.
Construction loans are different because these are loans where the customer is really planning on building their home. So those are generally set up on 6 to 12-month terms, calling for interest only during the term that the home is being built, during the construction period.
Sure. What kind of down payment would somebody need on a land loan?
Well, land loan where you were looking at, again, hunting land or just recreational land, generally you're looking at a 25 to 30% down payment on something like that. If it's a lot loan where it's for construction purposes and ultimately there'll be a house built on that in the relatively near future, you can get into that possibly with as little as 10% down.
Is that kind of the same for the in-house loans or conventional or same kind of down payments?
Well, we will do an in-house mortgage loan for somebody that doesn't qualify for secondary market financing. We will allow that with a 20% down payment. But there we're talking about a loan where the property already has a home on it. Yep. And really we're financing a residential property. That's different than if you're just buying vacant land where there is no building or structure on it.
Sure. So if someone is thinking of purchasing a home, what should they do ahead of getting pre-approved? And then with that, once they're pre-approved, what shouldn't they do?
Well, let's talk about what to do in preparing to get pre-approved. You should call your bank and ask what information are they going to need to get pre-approved. Types of material that they'll need are 2 years income tax returns, current payroll check stubs, W-2 forms for the last 2 years, maybe an idea of the price range of the home that they would like to buy. Let's assume for a moment that they don't have a specific property in mind, but they want to know what price range. Well, those are some things that can be determined when they come to visit me, but maybe they have a price range in their mind, and then they can kind of work their way into what type of loan they need once they've decided on what type of property they're looking at. Now, once you've actually started the application process, we're going to give you a list of do's and don'ts of what to do during the application processing time if you actually have a house in mind. The first thing that you should make sure you don't do is don't go out and buy something and incur additional credit. Generally, what happens is your credit report is pulled at the time you start the application process, but then it's also pulled once more by the lender right before you close. And so if you all of a sudden go out and buy a car during the 30 to 45 days it takes to process the loan, that will come up when they pull the second inquiry. And then we have to explain what happened, and then they have to go through the underwriting process again, because using the auto loan as an example, you've incurred another debt. And so they just have to re-underwrite the loan. You know, just like most people, bankers don't like surprises. And so what they try to do is make sure that these types of things you try to stay away from. And then if you want to buy that car, at least wait until after the home is purchased. Day after that home is closed, you can go buy whatever you want. It doesn't really matter at that point.
Sure. That makes sense. Is there what would you say the advantages would be to choosing a local lender for one? And then with that, what does you being a bank, First Bank of Baldwin, have to offer a home buyer?
Well, I'm going to start by saying service, service, service. Most people really like it when they're sitting in front of their loan officer and he walks you through something and you can see the numbers in front of you and
Right.
making sure that everything explained. When you're doing something over the internet or by phone, it isn't the same as having the physical service of that person being right there.
Right.
The other thing you run into is when you're taking out a mortgage loan with, I'll use First Bank of Baldwin, you're relationship building. We're getting to know you, you're getting to know us, because we want to be your bank and we want you to have us as your bank and to enjoy it. So it's really about building and creating a relationship between your borrower and their loan officer and the bank itself.
Sure, that makes sense. So then you go to you for their regular banking needs, like their checking and their savings accounts or HSAs or whatever. And then, you're also holding your mortgage. So, yeah.
Well, I just think that there's so much to be said about working with your local bank. And if you have questions, you know where to go to get the answers versus getting on the phone and trying to go through all the telephone prompts. And how frustrating is it to try to get answers to questions and you can't get a physical person to speak to? Nobody likes that.
Yeah.
And there's so much to be said by somebody coming to here and meeting with me or meeting one of our other people here that works here and getting the answers to their questions and knowing that the service that they received should be top flight.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have to run into that situation with buyers. If they have let's say a big box lender or an online lender, and we have a question, or what's the status of an appraisal, or what's the status of clear to close, or whatever it might be, and you get pushed around to 5 to 10 people and you never talk to the same person at any given time, so you don't know who's really in charge of what's going on. It gets confusing, and buyers hate it, and it's frustrating for everybody.
Well, I think the biggest thing is people don't like not knowing what's going on. That's
Right.
why we make a special point. Every Monday, I call our loan customers, our mortgage customers, and say, here's where we're at. The appraisal's been ordered.
That's awesome.
The appraisal's here. I have the title work, so that the customer knows where we are at in the loan, because nobody likes just being kind of left out there without any information, wondering where are we at? Why is it taking so long? Things like this. And then again, that's part of the service aspect of working with a local bank.
Yeah, that's awesome, because with such a big purchase for people, and it does take time, and is a process to go through. It's knowing what is going on is very helpful for everybody. It just keeps everybody calm too.
Well, generally, your home purchase is one of the largest financial transactions you'll make in your life.
Yeah.
Sometimes you make it more than once. Quite frankly, most times you'll make it more than once, but it's usually the largest transaction. You want to make sure it's done right. You want to make sure you're comfortable with when it's done. Our goal is to make sure that when that customer leaves our office, when the home is done, they own it, that it was a good experience. Their questions were answered. And the biggest thing is they go out and they tell people about us. And they say these things so that word of mouth is the best advertising anybody can ask for.
Absolutely. All right, we will wrap this up. Thank you, Dave, for coming on. Appreciate the conversation. Have a good day, everybody.